Okay, now that we've cleaned the guitar, we're going to change the strings and learn how to do that. So when you get your set of strings, make sure it's for the right sort of guitar. So if you're in primary school, you've probably got a nylon classical or Spanish type of guitar, they're called. And basically it means that the plastic strings here are what's on the treble side. And although these basses are metal, they're really soft metal with a plastic core, so they're much easier on the hands. If you get the wrong sort of strings and you put them on anyway, you can actually damage the guitar, especially if it's a steel string onto a classical guitar. They can just rip the bridge right off. So make sure you got the right set. When you get a set of strings, they'll tell you on the package which string is which. This brand particularly, they actually put the name of the string on a little flag post, so that's really handy. So what we're going to be doing is I'll be teaching you how to tie the string on this section of the bridge here. This is called the tie block. And when we tie it over here, we'll tie it in a certain way with the right tension and then let it go over top of the saddle here. And then from there, we'll go over this side of the guitar and we'll learn about which of these posts every string goes to. And I'll show you the particular way of winding them on this post that means your guitar is going to stay in tune. And that's what you want. You want your guitar to stay in tune. So it's a really good idea. Alright, let's get into it. I'll show you how to tie the strings onto the tie block. Now before you start putting your strings on the tie block, which is where we should begin, it's a good idea to get your strings in order. Now mine have come with numbers, some of them come in colour codes, but whatever it is, put them in the right order that you're going to put them on. That way you don't mix them up and put the wrong strings in the wrong spot. It's actually really hard to tell between strings of the same type which one they are, especially these little thin plastic ones. So get them in order first. Now if you've got a ball end string, all you need to do is feed it through here and the ball end will lock it in there. Personally, I don't like ball ends because they make repair work very difficult because you can't undo that side and sometimes you need to. So I don't like it for that reason, but also it encourages laziness where people just don't learn how to tie a string properly. So let's do things the right way. So I take my string and I feed it through, and I'm not going to tie it off yet. What I'm going to do is make a little granny knot like this, and then I'm going to grab the end of that with my little pliers. You can try and use your fingers. Normally I use my fingers. I'm just a bit clumsy today, so I've decided to use the mini pliers. There we go. That's all you need, just that little knot, and this is going to form a little lockout. So if the string ever slips out of its proper tie, it'll just run into this little knot. So it acts like a ball end in some sense. So I then wrap it underneath the main string. So I take the string, this shorter end, wrap it underneath, and now I'm going to come back towards the where it's come from, but I'm going underneath it, and then I'm going to do a loop around that, a bit like an aeroplane does a loop-the-loop when they do the airplane shows. Of course they don't do that when you catch a passenger plane. Wouldn't have many happy passengers. Now what I'm going to do is just bend where the knot is, come back a little bit. I'm going to bend that to make a little kink, and that little kink is going to sit on that corner of the tie block. Can you see that past my finger? How it's sitting on the corner of the tie block. I'm going to hold that with my finger, that part of the string, and I'm going to pull the playing side of the string tight. Watch the knot form. As I'm pulling the string, the knot's forming itself. It's doing all the work for me. Nice. Give it a gentle tug, just a gentle one. And there you go. The string is tied on there. And I'm going to repeat this operation for all of the plastic strings first. So all the plastic strings, 1, 2, and 3. They all get that same treatment, but with the bass strings I do it a little bit different. I'll give you a demonstration now of what I do with the bass strings. Hang on, just let me reform the camera. Sorry about that. Cameraman of the year. See if we can get better focus for you up that end. Alright, sweet. So I've got my bigger string. So I can do this without getting confused between the strings. I've changed about 1,000 guitar strings in my 1,000 guitars strings in my lifetime so far, so I'll be fine, but you don't do it in this order, please. So with the bass strings, you bring them out like that, bring it through. I make a little kink, just like we did with the plastic string, but I don't need the knot on the bass string, so don't make a knot. It's too hard to form, it's like physically very demanding. So just make a little kink, and then you place the string, same way, you bring it around underneath itself. So this is the playing side in my left hand here. And in my right hand I've got the tying side, and I bring it and I put the kink on the edge of that tie block, and this edge of the tie block is what actually holds the string in place. Now I'm going to hold that end of the string down, so that's the end of it, and I'm going to pull the playing side through, and look at that, it's forming a knot for me. And you might think, oh, that looks really loose, it's not even granny knotted, and that'd be a good, safe assumption. The only thing is that the grooves on these metal strings, these cylindrical grooves, they actually help hold it in place. So that's all you need. And this is a great way of getting slack out of the string. You don't put too many knots or any movements in the string themselves. You just put in what's required. Now you see how I use my thumb there? I just push the string down a bit on that side. You can do that. This one's popping out already. So I think I'm going to go up the other end and tie it down. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay, I've just finished putting all the strings on, and I hope that you can see that okay. There's something I did not mention, and that is the way that the string comes back and locks over across. It's important that it doesn't cross over on the top side here, but it actually locks on the other side of the block. And it's that action, if they keep it separate as it goes over the block, and then it comes wrapping around, touching over on the other side, that's actually what locks the string on. That's why we can, say, do just one wrap with the bass string. And it also helps with these slippery plastic strings. So you may need to have to sort of shimmy those with your fingernail and get in there and push them apart if they get on the top side. You want them on the back side. So it's very important that we get our strings on this side the correct way, because it makes it difficult and time consuming to tune a guitar up if it's not always consistent across different guitars. So this is the way we do it. Remember that E string, the big low one that I put on after I put the first plastic string on? Well, that string gets put onto here, and then the next bass string, the A string, string number 5 on there, string number 4, D, onto this one, then string number 3, so the 4 and the 3 are up at this side, 3 the plastic one, the thick plastic one's there, then the B second string, and then the E first string there. So it kind of, from string 1 to 6, it does a bit of a horseshoe shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the way it's been done for centuries, so you're better off just doing that and doing it the right way. Okay? Don't put it all kinds of places like we sometimes see. What I do is I set these posts up, see me wind them, and I set them up so that the holes are actually facing a little bit away from the neck, but I can still reach them. So that's what I'm going to do now. So the 5th string, I'm going to bring that one backwards, push the 2nd string forward, bring back the 3rd string. Okay, this is crucial for my tying method, and this is a really good tying method, not just because it's mine. That is one reason it's good, but one of the reasons that it's good is because this method will enable the guitar to stay in tune faster, and for the lifespan of the string is much better. So the idea is that you've got less string in contact with the guitar as least as much as possible, but you still have it locked off in a tie. That means you've got less string to sort of slack off over time. I might just bring that computer thingy out. There we go. Sorry, my guitar's twiddling around a bit. I might just rest that in there. It might help. Can you see that? Hope so. There we go. Alright, so here's the secret magic. So I take my string end. Mine's a little bit bent because I was faffing about before. Cut that off. Okay, and what I do is I don't put it through the hole. I bring it back underneath first on the opposite side of the guitar, and then I go underneath through the hole. And this is important because this is how we start the tie lock off. So I'll lock it off at this point. So you see how I brought it through? So I've gone around the other side of the guitar, and I've actually come through the hole from underneath. Now what I do is I make a little loop with this short section of string, like that, but I don't lock it off. Not yet. Then I pull the rest of the string, all that, see how it's pulling the main body of the string here? It's pulling that in as I tug this bit up. So it's actually tightening the string before I've even tied the string on. Now I'm going to do a little windy loop thing. Might do another one. So with the plastic strings I do 2 loops. Not so much on the 3rd string. So that's giving me a lock off. And straight away I want to hold tension on that because this is important. I can't sort of go doing all of them. I do one at a time so that I get a nice strong connection. So I've got that there, and I'm going to hold with my hand. I'm going to bring my hand forward so you can see what I'm doing, or maybe I can shimmy the camera a little bit. I'm actually holding the string in my hands here, and I'm actually putting tension on it the whole time. My thumb pushes down and my fingers pull up. See the white bit of my fingers? That's me putting tension on the string. So the whole time that I'm winding this up, it's going to be under tension the entire time. And this is how you put a string on a guitar. Because within about 5 minutes, it's going to be settled. Whereas if you put it on the loosey-goosey way, the any way Dad figures out how to do it way, you end up with a string that won't stay in tune for about a month. It can get up to a month. I've got students' guitars where they're just not tuning, and it's how the string's put on. So I'm holding tension the entire time, so the tension is being wrapped on that post. So it's always under tension as though I'm already stretching the string out. Might put a bit more on, a bit of muscles, keep turning it, so I'm winding it up. You see this mechanism pulling away from the guitar, pulling that string up. And I'm just watching the winds as well. Don't let the winds come in towards the wood on either side. They have to stay in the middle. That's very important because you can wear your metal keys out. The plastic string starts rubbing against the wood, and that puts pressure on these mechanisms. And if you have it like that for long enough, like for a few years of bad string changes, you end up ruining these gears, and they have to be replaced. Very cool. There we go. I can feel tension coming on the string now, so I can actually slack my hand off a little bit. I'm still holding a little bit, just sort of pulling up with my fingers now. I know roughly where the tension mark is myself because I've been doing it so long. You'll be guessing though. You'll have to play it and then measure it against a tuning machine. I can hear that's about C sharp or something. I was going to check down the other side, make sure it's still holding its position. Yep, it looks beautiful. Alright. You can hear it slacking off a little bit. It's just dropped its pitch. Da, da. So that's normal. So we're getting all that slack out. That's a good thing. I'm just going to bring it up. Okay. We're getting up to pitch now. I'll stop there. I don't need to tune it up yet. I just need to make sure that it's tied off and I've got tension on the post. Now I'm going to do the second string, then the third string, then the fourth string, the fifth string, and the sixth string. But with the third string, I'm only going to do one knot. I'll show you that in a second. So the third string here, I've already started doing it. Sorry, my camera didn't work when I pushed the button. Anyway, so first string is done. I did the second string off camera, and the reason I did that instead of just going to show you the third string is because once you get all your strings in line like this, it's really hard to try and get in between this string and here and there with all these strings and stuff in the way. So you're better off doing them in this order, string 1 to 2 to 3. Then on this side you don't start with the fourth, start with the fattest string, the E6 string, and then A string, and then the D4. And so you're basically going away from the guitar. It just makes it much easier to do, less hassle of having stuff in the way. So what I did was, I did the same method where you go around that string, and you come back through the bottom, and then I did a knot around the string itself, pulled the slack out of it, and tied it off. I wonder if I can actually undo that just to show it to you again. Come on. The knots are a bit difficult. I can't get that off. So usually when I take a knot off, I spend a bit of time doing it because it's a bit tricky. Or instead, if it's a string change, I'm not going to keep the string, I'll just cut that knot off. And then just feed the knot back through itself and it comes undone. So I'm going to hold tension on this the whole time, just like with the first two strings. Winding it up. You get these speed winding machines if you need it. Very squeaky. I kind of use them. It's not that much work to do one guitar without a winder. But I think if you're working in a shop or if you've got like a couple of guitars to change, yeah, definitely get a winder because it will tire you out. Alright, that's almost up to pitch. It doesn't take much tension to get the G string up to pitch, so you'll find you don't need to turn it so much. Notice how my string winds, they're all pretty much dead center on the post. There's no running up against the wood on any of these posts. That's really important so you don't damage the keys of the mechanism. Alright, I'm going to do the basses now, and I'm going to start with the 6th string on this post. Then I'm going to go with the next one, the A string, and then the D. and it should be done.